Greetings, System Failure listeners. Nate here with your weekly essay read, this one entitled The Human Symphony, and subtitled How Calculus Suggests Mortality is a Trick of Perception. Key takeaways. Number 1, the notion that there is something illusory about our experience of space and time runs from Plato's allegory of the cave through Newton's invention of calculus to Einstein's field equations. Number 2, just as the first and last notes of a symphony still exist even when they are not being played, our youth and old age exist no matter where we are in our lives. Number 3, the interoperability between temporal and spatial dimensions suggest that our mortality may be a trick of perception rather than a fundamental limit. Plato, Newton, and Einstein. In his allegory of the cave, the Greek philosopher Plato compared our perception of the universe to shadows flickering on a cave wall. A shadow is a two-dimensional projection cast by a three-dimensional object. While Plato's concern was metaphysical, his use of shadows as an allegorical device uncannily foreshadows the modern concept of dimensionality. 2,000 years later, Sir Isaac Newton was a key figure in a long tradition of Christian Neoplatonism, which was especially strong at Cambridge University during his time. To this day, scholars debate how much of an impact his Platonism had on Newton's independent co-discovery of calculus. In calculus, variables like space and time are combined into rates that describe real-world experiences, demonstrating a deep connection between these dimensions. Though perceived differently, space and time are connected like interlocking Lego bricks. Distance over time, speed, might be measured with a simple rate like miles per hour. The rate of speed over time, acceleration, is a compound rate which could be measured in miles per hour per second. Calculus is the mathematics of rates and rates of rates. Whether we're measuring rates of change or accumulation, it's indispensable to modern physics. Without it, Einstein could never have formalized his field equations, in which tensor calculus fuses space and time to describe the dynamic geometry of space-time. Einstein's theory of relativity, which describes this profound interplay, was his most famous contribution to modern science. His work was only possible because of calculus, arguably the most significant of Newton's many earth-shattering contributions to the scientific revolution. And Newton, in turn, was heavily influenced by the post-Renaissance resurgence of Plato. At the Symphony. In 1824, Beethoven premiered his Ninth Symphony at the now-demolished Kärntnertor Theater in Vienna. August Mandlik painted a similar performance at the nearby Musikverein, which still stands today. His work serves as the title card for this essay. To explore the relationship between time and space as perceived experience, imagine sitting in a concert hall listening to Beethoven's Ninth. You're stuck in the time signature with the rest of the audience, listening to each note in sequence. With no ability to rewind or fast-forward time, audience members can hear only the current note being played in each moment. In the middle of the symphony, its first and last notes are inaudible. But those notes haven't ceased to exist, they're merely hidden around a corner in time. Reading Beethoven's sheet music frees us from the confines of the time signature. With enough space on the page, your eyes could take in the first and last notes of the symphony at the same time, along with every note in between, rather than having to experience those notes in sequential order. Sheet music works by swapping out the temporal dimension, which we measure with a stopwatch, for a spatial one, which we measure with a ruler. 1 second might be represented by 1/8 of an inch on the page. Once you see that the symphony can be expressed through both a temporal and a spatial medium, the idea of a deep correspondence between these two dimensions becomes obvious. And the implications for humankind are astounding. The music of the human story. The experience of hearing a symphony versus reading its sheet music offers a powerful metaphor for a philosophical idea that our linear experience of time might be a trick of perception. Physics describes a fundamental relationship between spatial dimensions and time. Our experience of that relationship is key to this perspective. We're all equally powerless to fast forward or rewind time when we listen to a symphony. But a glance at the sheet music confirms that the first and last notes of the symphony do exist in some sense. Similarly, we cannot fast forward or rewind our lives. We're stuck in the time signature along with everyone else. But though they may be hidden around a corner of time, this perspective suggests our youth and our old age still exist somewhere, just like the first and last notes of a symphony. When you begin to think in terms of this correspondence between distance and time, you become conscious of your ancestors stretching out behind you into the mists of the distant past, and of your descendants fanning out before you, proceeding into the uncertain future. Like the first and last notes of the symphony, these people too have an existence hidden from us by the way we perceive time. The grand trajectory of the human story, therefore, has a shape to it, sculpted in the medium of time. Dimensionality and calculus allow us to glimpse that shape in our mind's eye by imagining the sheet music to the human symphony. Conclusion. We experience our lives as a fleeting melody, mourning the notes that have passed and fearing the silence to come. But calculus winks at us. It hints that reality is a multi-dimensional manifold, which our limited brains must interpret as a story with a beginning, middle, and end. The combined efforts of Plato, Newton, and Einstein afford us a peek at the sheet music of the human symphony. Next week's essay will take a closer look at the shape of that symphony. Alrighty, folks. Well, that's it for this week's audio essay. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, rush on over to systemfailure.org. There you can enter in your email to receive these written essays directly into your email inbox each and every Sunday morning. That way you can view the further material section, which this week is a great quote from historian Will Durant on the premiere of Beethoven's Ninth in Vienna. Furthermore, you can view the title card, which this week is, as mentioned, a painting of a symphonic performance in the weekly emails you can get by signing up over at systemfailure.org. Okay, well, I will be back on Monday, folks, with a brand new, regularly scheduled edition of the System Failure Podcast. Can't wait to see you all then. Hope you're having a great week.